I lived, and I still do, sort of, live by the motto that, positivity breeds positivity. I believe I put it in one of my last videos. And if you stay positive and look for silver linings, then, everything will work out in the end. I have since tweaked that philosophy because I've been listening to more podcasts, I've been reading more books, I have been giving myself more knowledge. And one of the things that I read is that having the always optimistic mindset isn't the right thing to have. And the reason why is because it's through the pain and through the negativity that you come out the other side a stronger, better person. And I took a lot of time to think about that, and I feel like that's spot on. Reason why is because without failure, there's no lessons, there's no growth. If you constantly assume that everything's going to be okay, then in a sense, you're kind of blinding yourself and giving yourself a false realization that isn't really there. That you feel that because everything will be okay, that there is no changes to be made. There is no lesson to be learned. There is no next step for you. You just cover up the negative and you move on. And I get that. And, I still believe that you should put positivity into the world. Absolutely. There's way too much hate in the world for you to add to it. On the flip side of that, when there is hate, there is negative people, negative things, negative news around you, how do you react to it? Do you address it? Do you ignore it? Do you just keep it to yourself? Like, what do you do? And for me, I've always been the type of person that I would take the negativity and I would, in a sense, blow it off. And I don't mean that sweep it under the rug, blow it off. I don't let it affect my day-to-day, and that's what works for me. And I will do what I need to do to address it, but I'm not necessarily the type of person that'll address it at that moment in time, because I don't want to speak from a purely emotional standpoint. I would prefer to speak from a more rational, logical standpoint, and I realize that pisses off a lot of people. A lot of people do not like that. They want to elicit a reaction. They want you to speak without thinking, but they don't realize that if I were to take that path, I can't take back those words I say to you. And if I do some serious damage, I have to work twice as hard. If I want to maintain the relationship, I have to work twice as hard to rebuild and fix the damage that I caused. I would much rather you be upset at me temporarily while I gather my thoughts and I really ponder on the situation than me lash out and attack you and say things that I can't take back and say things that I may not necessarily mean. And even if I do mean it, I don't want it to come from a harsh, aggressive standpoint. I actually have people at work that told me that I need to speak my mind more, and I told them flat out, I don't have the time or the fucks or the energy to argue with somebody. Even if it's not going to be an argument, the fact of the matter is this: your perception is your perception. I can't change your perception with words. It's not gonna happen. So if I really wanted to change your perception, or if I even gave a shit about your perception, I could show you through my actions. And if you continue to have the same perception, then it's kind of on you. I don't know what else you want me to do. And I used to speak emotionally and boldly and not give a shit. And I was the headstrong person that would go balls to the wall. I didn't give a shit about your feelings. I did not give a shit about what I was about to say next. I did not care about any of those things. I wanted to get my point out, and whether you actually got my point, and this is key here, whether you got my point or not was irrelevant to me. I needed to get it off my chest. And yeah, sometimes you need that, but as I got older, it's a lot harder to take that risk, you know? As a kid, you know, it's different. Kids grow up, they get over shit, you know, it is what it is. And sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're petty as fuck, especially nowadays. My God. Like, kids nowadays are fucked. I'm concerned about my kid, like, in this day and age, because they've devalued life so much that you could say your hair looks stupid, and then all of a sudden there's a mass shooting at the school. It's as simple as that. It's crazy. So, yeah. I apologize for the raspy voice. I don't know if you noticed or not. It's not even early. It's almost 7 o'clock at night. I don't know why I'm speaking raspy, but whatever. Yeah, and so it's hard to have. Let me back that up. It's hard to make every day a great day. It's hard to make every day memorable. It's hard to make every day a lesson that you can utilize in the future. But you gotta at least try. I'm all about growth. I'm all about being a better person. I'm all about empowerment. I'm all about giving the world 100% of me in hopes that I get that back in return. And I've had a lot of good luck, so to speak. And I don't necessarily believe in luck, but to put it in a layman's terms, I've had a lot of really good luck lately. And, you know, I've built relationships that are solidified, you know? Like, I have a handful of people. It ain't changed. I still have a handful of people that I'm constantly working on my relationship with them because they're so important to me. And I've had a couple of new people that have come in that I've decided to invest time in because they're important to me. And I'm trying to make myself more available to my friends in need and give them positive encouragement whenever they need it because I care about them. The moral of the story here is that I've shifted so much of my energy and my empathy and my compassion to people who I feel deserve it. This is a little side story, but it is what it is. So I got into it with my parents a couple of weeks ago. And it was one of those things to where they did not know who I was. They are not the type of people who are easy to talk to. They've never been the type of people who I could just open up and spill my heart and soul to and expect to get anything valuable out of it. They are the ones who are very stuck in their ways. They are the ones who have a one-track mind, and that's it. And I've been working for years now. Years. And by years, I mean like, I'm on a decade, almost, of working on them to see things from a different perspective. To see things through my lens, so to speak. To walk in my shoes and understand the path that I'm in. Because what they try to do, like the world does, of course, and that's why I don't knock them for it, they like to generalize and put things in a box. And I think I brought this up before as well, I'm not sure. But they like to put it in a box because when you put it in a box, you can understand more thoroughly. The problem is, you're not understanding the right thing. You're not understanding the main point. You're not understanding the whole concept in general. You have given yourself a definition for it, and that's the one that you're rolling with. You know, whenever you have a conversation with somebody and they go, so what you're saying is da 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 da, and it's so far off base that it almost like floors you because you're like, there's nothing that came out of my mouth that even remotely resembled what you just thought I said. That type of concept, you know, and I understand the idea behind that, but sometimes you just gotta like listen, and instead of assuming that you got it, like ask questions for clarity. You know, like if I said, You know, it's gonna be hot outside. It's gonna be, or no, let me back up. It's gonna be bad weather. So you're saying it's gonna rain? No. See, that's the wrong mindset in my eyes. The idea is, man, it's gonna be bad weather outside. Well, what do you mean by bad weather? Is it gonna be hot? Is it gonna be rainy? It's gonna be cloudy? Like what? Ask for more clarification so you can get your understanding. Because from my experience, if you just assume what someone is saying, you are subconsciously building a wall for them between you two. Because it's very frustrating when you are having a certain type of conversation and you're trying to explain something so someone can grasp what you're going through, and they're throwing out these assumptions that are not even remotely close. It gets frustrating, and it makes it to where you kind of throw your hands up and say, you know what, you're not the person I want to talk to, because you're not going to get it. It doesn't matter how I explain it to you, you're not understanding what I'm saying to you. That is the worst feeling in the world, because as someone who has dealt with that a lot, that's what spirals people into depression. Like one of the reasons. For me, that's what worked. That's what did it. Because I would try to explain things to mostly family, because I was always taught family is so important, which it is. But I would try to explain things to my family and they didn't get it. And then the frustration would ensue. And then because I got frustrated, they would get mad at me, and now it's an argument, and now I feel empty. Because I feel like the people that are supposed to have my back don't have my back because they don't understand me. You know? And so now I'm trying to reinvent the wheel, so to speak, and show them that instead of assuming that you get it, ask questions. You know, gain a better understanding before you jump to your conclusions. Not everything is bad. You don't have to always assume the bad things. Like, there's a lot of positivity out there, but you got to stop focusing on the negative. So, yeah, I wanted to share that. Haven't talked in a while. Again, I've had a lot of things going on over the past 4 or 5 months. A select few people know what's going on. And if you don't know, then you weren't meant to know. So, yeah, moral of the story, I don't even know how I started this thing, but, oh yeah, I remember now. When you have negativity, take it, learn from it, move on with it. Move on with it with you. Don't ignore it, don't sweep it underneath the rug. Face that thing head on and conquer it, because it's only going to benefit you. Continue to spread your positivity, but when negativity comes your way, own that thing. And that's how you'll learn to be a better person.